Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're back. Wednesday, I said it'll be just Wednesday night Bible study. But I'm going to make it Sunday too. So Sundays and Wednesdays is podcast days. We got a lot to talk about today. Last time I talked about faith, that was episode 1. I'm going to add another F, episode 2, forgiveness. Forgiving others and then forgiving yourself. The Bible talks a lot about forgiving, how to forgive, and let's be honest, folks, what happens if you don't? All these are great examples on how we should live our lives, so let's take from it. I'm not going to waste no time because it's a lot today. Matthew 6, verse 14. This is Jesus talking. He's at the Mount. He's doing his little sermon on the Mount. Some of the craziest things the world has ever seen. It's ever been recorded, ever. He's saying. And this is one of the things he said. He said, "For if you forgive other people when they sin against you, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if you do not forgive others their sins, your Father will not forgive your sins." So he's saying, hey, look, you got to forgive others. Right? You've got to be able to forgive others. And also, what the Bible also talks about is forgiving yourself. Not living in guilt. Guilt comes from Satan. Not letting what you've done to somebody else or whatever ruin you. Saying, okay, God, because God will forgive you for all your sins. If you can forgive me, God, it's saying, okay, God, if you can forgive me, I definitely can forgive myself. But again, we got something for that. So we're going to start right here. Genesis. We're going back to the Old Testament. Old Testament. The first book of the Bible. We're going to talk about my main man, Joseph. Now, look, obviously, Jesus is, we know who Jesus is. We know who the Father God is. We know the Trinity. The apostles, Jesus' followers when he was a man on earth. We know all these people. But one of my favorite characters in the whole Bible is Joseph. I'm gonna make a whole episode about Joseph. But something along with his story, something that happened in his story is very relevant to today's episode. So let's start here. Let me take you back. It's Genesis, right? Genesis 37. I'm going to take you back. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. God made a promise with them boys. He said, hey, look, I'm going to give you the land. You're going to be my chosen people. All these things. And God did exactly what he said he would do. Literally. Exactly what he said he would do. So, we got Abraham. He told Abraham, Isaac. Then we got Jacob. Now, Jacob, he had Jacob's ladder. He ran away from the hunt. Like, all that stuff happened with Jacob. But Jacob had a bunch of kids. He had one son named Joseph. So, Joseph, right? Says a young man of 17 was tending the flocks with his brothers. Right? All these different females that Jacob had. And he brought their father a bad report about them. Now, Israel is Jacob. Yes. You heard, you see this right here. Israel. The place Israel is based off him. Now, that debatable on today's Israel, right? But this is the origin of it. He called Jacob Israel. All of Jacob's descendants, his people, are Israeli people who Moses will later take out of Egypt. But this is how they got to Egypt right here. Bro, God works in mysterious ways, right? Now, Israel, or Jacob, loved Joseph more than any of his other sons because he had been born to him in his old age. Jacob's son is Joseph. He loves him a lot. And he made an ornate, right? robe for him. When his brothers saw their father loved him more than any of them, they hated him, could not speak a kind word to him. They couldn't stand Joseph. They 17-year-old Joseph, all the other brothers are older. I mean, heck, you got thinking maybe 30s, 40s, something like that. If he's got like 10 kids and he's an old man himself, at least 30s and 40s, which is wild. Old enough for them to be his dad, for real, right? They couldn't stand him. But Joseph had a dream, not like Martin Luther King, but he had a dream. This is what he said. He told his brothers his dream. He said, we were binding sheaves of grain out in the field. Suddenly my sheaf rose and stood, while your sheaves gathered around mine and bowed down to it. Whoa. His brothers is like, do you intend to reign over us? Will you actually rule over us? And they hated him all the more because of his dream. So you think you better than us, Joseph? That's what they're saying. That you're going to be over us? You wait. Hey, just stay with me. Stay with me. Stay with me. And then he had another dream. The sun and the moon and 11 stars were bowing down to me. He told Jacob, his dad, and his brothers. His father rebuked him. He said, what is this dream you have had? Will your mother and I and your brothers actually come and bow down to the ground before you? His brothers were jealous of him, but his father kept the matter in mind. Bro, he's had 2 dreams, and both of them is him having dominion over his whole family. And they're like, nah. Jacob is like, let me keep this in mind, but, that's a wild dream, son. I ain't gonna lie. But his brothers is like, bro, right? Now, I'm going to skim through this, but basically, they had left to mess with the flocks, and Jacob told Joseph, they're going over there. Go and see if all is well, then bring word back to me. So he basically went, and their brothers see him in another place. They weren't at the place that Jacob said they were at. They went somewhere else, and Joseph followed them there. He said, and this is what they said, here comes the dreamer. Let's kill him and throw him into one of these cisterns and say that an animal devoured him. Then we'll see what comes of his dreams. Imagine. Listen to me. Imagine. You have dreams. God placed the dreams, by the way. But they don't know that, right? Jacob knows of God. He's God-fearing. He knows all about God, right? Imagine that you have dreams. And your brothers, these is your blood brothers. Your brothers say, come, let's kill him and throw him. They hate you so much because of your dreams. You can't control your dreams. He just said it aloud. Now, Reuben's the older brother, right? It says, when Reuben heard this, he tried to rescue him from their hands. Let's not take his life. Don't shed any blood. Throw him into the cistern here in the wilderness, but don't. A cistern is a well. I think of a well. Yeah, a well, a water well. But don't lay a hand on him. He said this to rescue him from them and take him back to his father. He was going to leave him in the well. They was going to run off. He was going to take him back because he's like, bro, y'all going a little crazy. So Joseph came to his brothers, right? And they just cut right to the Bible just cuts right to the chase. They stripped him of his clothes. They took him and threw him into the well. The well was empty, no water in it. And they sat down and ate. Right? And they seen some Ishmaelites coming from Gilead. Their camels were loaded with spices, balm, and myrrh. And they were on their way to take them down to Egypt. Judah, worrisome type. He worrisome, man. Judah. Listen what Judah said. What we will gain if we kill our brother and cover up his blood. Come, let us sell him, to the Ishmaelites and not lay our hands on him? After all, he is our brother, our own flesh and blood. Like, bro, what is wrong with you, Judah? Boy, what's wrong with Judah? Oh, he's our own flesh and blood, so we're not going to kill him. We're just going to send him into slavery anyway, even though we know our dad loves him. Stay with me, stay with me, stay with me. So the merchants came by, right? His brothers pulled him out of the well, cistern well, and sold him for 20 shekels of silver to the Ishmaelites who took him to Egypt. Fam. Let's do this right here. So I did some research before this. 20 shekels of silver is about 3 months' wage. And it's estimated to be between $130 and $300. So you can say it's like $200, something like that, right? Or if you know, like around 200 something for a human being. So $200, 20 shekels of silver for your brother, which is crazy. And later, it don't even say anything later. It don't say anything to this now, but it states later that Joseph was begging for them not to do it. He begged for his life. Begged his brothers not to do it. But they wasn't hearing it. So just keep that in mind. This is what's happened. Joseph has dreams that he will rule over his family. The brothers don't like it. They get him away from their home and they strip him of his robe, throw him in a well, and sell him into slavery after he begs them not to do it. So then Reuben, he thought he was slick, right? He went back to the well. He tore the clothes that Joseph had. He went back to his brothers and said, "That boy isn't there. Where can I turn now?" Then they got Joseph's robe, slaughtered a goat, and dipped the robe in blood. They took the robe back to their father and said, "We found this. Examine it and see whether it's your son's robe." He recognized it and said, "It is my son's robe. Some ferocious animal has devoured him. Joseph has surely been torn to pieces." Then Jacob tore his clothes, put on a sackcloth, and mourned for his son many days. All his sons and daughters came to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. "No," he said, "I will continue to mourn until I join my son in the grave." So his father wept for him. So they went back and grabbed his jacket, his clothes. First of all, Reuben, I don't know what Reuben's on. He could have stopped him. He didn't. Whatever. He's the oldest. Maybe he's elderly old because he is, I believe he is Jacob's first son. Maybe he's elderly old. He couldn't do nothing with them boys. But this brother took his brother's jacket and ripped it, killed a goat, put goat blood on it, and said, "Oh, he was eaten by an animal. This is his coat, ain't it, Dad?" He's like, "Yeah, that's my son's coat." So yeah, man, that's that. Now, let's go to 43. Or 42, I'm sorry. Let's go to Genesis 42. Because this is where things get interesting. Like I said, I'm going to do a whole thing on Joseph. Because he's got a lot going on. Right? So let's go. Let's just do this. So Joseph went to Egypt, right? Basically, he went through a bunch of trials and tribulations. They put him in the Potiphar's house, and he ended up having to go to prison for some nonsense. I'm not gonna get into it today. Then he comes out of prison. God takes him out with the Pharaoh and all that. And then this is where Joseph is now. I want you to look at this. Joseph, the boy sold into slavery. He went through this stuff. Now look at him. So Pharaoh, the Pharaoh of Egypt said to Joseph, I hereby put you in charge of the whole land of Egypt. He took his ring off his finger and put it on Joseph's finger, dressed him in robes of fine linen, and put a gold chain around his neck. That's tough. He had him ride in a chariot as his second in command. The people shouted before him, make way. Look at this. This is what Pharaoh said to Joseph. I am Pharaoh, but without your word, no one will lift in hand or foot in all of Egypt. And then he gave him his daughter to marry. He was 30 years old when he entered. Right? Now, this is where it gets good, folks. You see that? What does that say? Joseph's brothers go to Egypt. Why are they going over there? There was a famine. A famine all over the land. When Jacob learned that there was a grain in Egypt, he said to his sons, why do you just keep looking at Why do you just keep looking at each other? He continued, I have heard that there is a grain in Egypt. Go down there and buy some for us so that we may live and not die. Bro, they're about to die. Like, there's a famine in the land. They got to go to Egypt to get grain. They hear there's grain because a certain governor of Egypt has stored grain. Who is that governor? Oh, man. And 10 of Joseph's brothers went down to buy grain from Egypt. But Jacob said, did not send Benjamin, which is Joseph's brother, with the others, because he was afraid that harm might come to him. So Israel's sons, Jacob's sons, were among those who went to buy grain, for there was famine in the land of Canaan also. So there's a famine in the land. But look at Jacob, though. He didn't send Benjamin. Why didn't he send Benjamin? Because Benjamin is also Joseph's full brother is Benjamin, Rachel's son. That's his full brother. Right? He had him at an old age. He's younger than Joseph. So he's like, hey man, I done lost one of her kids. I can't lose another one. Now look, there's a famine in their land. They got to go to Egypt, right? Now Joseph, the one that y'all sold into slavery. They don't know that though. This ain't like right now where you can see who's elected president and all this. This back in the day. They lived out in the country, man. They ain't know nothing what was going on. But it says now Joseph was the governor of the land. The person who sold grain to all its people. So when Joseph's brothers arrived, they bowed down to him with their faces to the ground. As soon as Joseph saw his brothers, he recognized them. But he pretended to be a stranger. Hey, Joseph. Hey, you know what a human guy would do, right? Oh, nah, these is my brothers. They put me through all this mess I went through. They sold me into slavery. I had to go to prison for something I didn't do. Now I'm in power. They're dead. Put them all to death. Cut their heads off. That's what some people nowadays would do. Revenge, retaliation. And he was on that for a minute. Look what it said. He spoke harshly to them. Where do you come from? He asked. From the land of Canaan, to buy food. He recognized his brothers. They did not recognize him. They don't even know who he is. But he knows exactly who they are. That's how it be a lot of times. If somebody does you wrong or you do somebody wrong and you just say, I ain't worried about it no more. they will remember everything about you. You might not even think it's anything. You might be aimlessly walking around, but they won't forget. The victim won't forget what you did to him. Especially a vet like this, where it's one of the craziest betrayals ever, right? And the other way around, if somebody does something to you, you remember it. You will not forget it. But that person who did it to you, they might forget it. And that's what's going on here. His brothers, man, sold him into slavery. And now he's got the power. He's the governor. They're asking him for food so they can, what Jacob say, live and not die. Let's see what he do, though. Then he remembered his dreams about them. Full circle moment. His dreams. What was his dreams? He said he would rule over them. He would have dominion over his whole family. And look what he is. He's the second in command to the Pharaoh. Pharaoh. That's a big deal, folks. This is second in command to Pharaoh, Joseph. This is what he said. You are spies. You have come to see where our land is unprotected. No, my lord, they answered. Your servants have come to buy food. We are all sons of one man. Your servants are honest men, not spies. Oh, so now you're servants. But y'all sold him into slavery because he said this exact thing would happen. No, he said to them, you have come to see where our land is unprotected. But they replied, your servants were 12 brothers, son of one man, who lives in the land of Canaan. The youngest is now with our father. And one, listen, look at this, and one is no more. The youngest is with our father. He said there's 12 brothers, sons of one man, Jacob, who lives in the land of Canaan. The youngest is now with our father. That's Benjamin. He's the youngest. And one is no more. Talking about Joseph, because he died. They think he's a slave somewhere. But they pronounced him dead because of Jacob seeing his robe and the goat's blood on it. Then this is what he told him. It's just as I told you, you are spies, and this is how you will be tested. As surely as Pharaoh lives, you will not leave this place unless your younger brother comes here. Send one of your number to get your brother. The rest of you will be kept in prison so that your words may be tested to see if you are telling the truth. If you are not, then as surely as Pharaoh lives, you were spies. He put them boys in custody for 3 days. That's look. This right now, it's like, dang, is he really being cool to him? He's testing them. Watch how he do. On the third day, Joseph said to them, do this and you will live. For I fear God, Yahweh. If you are honest men, let one of your brothers stay here in prison while the rest of you go and take grain back for your starving households. But you must bring your youngest brother to me so that your words may be verified and that you may not die. This they proceeded to do. And they looked at each other and said, surely we are being punished because of our brother. We saw how distressed he was when he pleaded with us for his life. But we would not listen. That's why this distress has come on us. Reuben, this the older brother. He tried to say, don't do it. Like nerd. Didn't I tell you not to sin against the boy? But you wouldn't listen. Now we must give an accounting for his blood. They did not realize that Joseph could understand him, since he was using an interpreter. Let's go back. So he gave him this command. Hey man, go bring your youngest brother. Y'all spies. Y'all trying to do all this extra stuff, right? This is the governor. This is huge. These are huge accusations he's bringing. It'd be different if a random Bob told him this. This is the governor telling him. The governor. The second man to Pharaoh saying, y'all are spies. Send your youngest brother here. But he's testing him. Right? You got to think, it's been years since he's seen these boys. He want to see what his younger brother on. But he's testing them. And he's taught, and they're basically saying, that this is happening because of what we did to our brother years ago. They don't know that this is the brother from years ago. Right in front of them. They don't know that. But they're saying that they're being tested, that they are being punished for what they did. Reuben's like, man, didn't I tell y'all not to do this? Right? But see, they speak a different language in Egypt. Joseph learned the language that they spoke whenever he was younger, right, with his brothers. And then he went to Pharaoh and learned their language. So he had an interpreter. But they're speaking in his language. And he didn't, and he can understand them. So what he do? He turned away and began to weep. But then came back and spoke to them again. He's hurting, bro. You gotta understand. When somebody does wrong to you and it's a close family doing insane wrong to you, it don't matter how bad them boys is. You want to forgive them. Family especially, you want to forgive your family always. That's not something that you want to take for granted. You always want to forgive family even when they do the worst things to you. So he crying, bro. He's like, bruh, So he had Simeon taken from them and bound before their eyes. Joseph gave orders to fill their bags with grain. But hold on. To put each man's silver back in his sack and to give them provisions for their journey. After this was done for them, they loaded their grain on their donkeys and left. So they paid him for the grain. He put the money back in their bags. That's one sign of forgiveness right there. Stay with me. They stopped for the night. One of them opened his sack to get feed for his donkey. He saw a silver in the mouth of his sack. My silver has been returned, he said to his brothers. Here it is in my sack. Their hearts sank and they turned to each other trembling. What is this that God has done to us? Bro. That's one. They came to their father Jacob in the land of Canaan. They told him all that had happened to them. They said, the man who was Lord over the land, the governor, Joseph, spoke harshly to us and treated us as though we were spying on the land. But we said to him, we are honest men, we're not spies. Blase, blase, blase. Then they told him there's 12 brothers. One is no more. I just cannot get over that. Then the man who was Lord over the land said to us, this is how I know whether you're honest men. Leave you and your brothers there. Boom. Let me have your youngest brother so I know you're not spies but honest men. And I'll give your brother back to you and you can trade in the land. Then they see that there's money pouches there. They were scared. Because just like, bro, they could go back there, right, to get their other brother, and they see that the money is still in there, and it's like, oh, y'all stole from us. That's what they're thinking. You got to understand how scared they are, right? Then Israel says to them, you have deprived me of my children. Joseph is no more, sold into slavery. Simeon is no more, in jail, in prison, in Egypt. But we know, readers, we know he's in good hands. His brother's there. He ain't gonna let nothing happen to him. He's the second in command. Pharaoh said, my word is your word. Your word is my word. Joseph is no more. Simeon is no more. Now you want to take Benjamin? Everything is against me. Then Reuben, the older brother, he's like, I'm gonna sum it up. He's like, hey man, hey dad, look, you can kill both of my sons if I don't bring back Benjamin. But Jacob stood tall. He said, hey, my son will not go down there with you. His brother is dead. He's the only one left. His brother Joseph is dead. He thinks he's dead because of the goat's blood on his jacket. You will bring my gray head down to the grave in sorrow. If harm comes to him on the journey you are taking, you will bring my gray head down in sorrow. Bad business y'all in, man. But they went back to Egypt. right? So basically, they went back to Egypt, and Judah, the evil one, the one that said, "This our brother. We can't kill him. We'll sell him into slavery instead." Judah said, "Send the boy along with me, and we will go at once, so that we and your children may live and not die. I myself will guarantee his safety. You can hold me personally responsible for him. If I do not bring him back to you and set him here before you, I will bear the blame before you all my life. As it is, if we had not delayed, we could have gone and returned twice." So Judah's like, you know what? I'm gonna take him. Let's go. Right? Judah, the dude, he is crazy. I'm glad I'm not Jacob. I'm glad I'm not Joseph. I'm glad I'm not any of these people. I'm glad none of us are. We have got to be. This is what happened. Like the way Joseph is acting is him saying, "God, show me the way." That's what he's doing. Because these is people who have thrown you into slavery, beat you up. You begged them boys not to take you away, but they did it anyway for $130, $200. And it didn't take him, and didn't even get them good enough, because they're going to ask the governor for grain because there's famine in the land. So it's like, that lets you know God is with you, bro, when you got patience. Because he's really testing them. Right? So they're basically like, take God with you, our Father. So they went up to Joseph's steward and spoke to him at the entrance house. "We beg you pardon. We came down here the first time to buy food, but at the place where we stopped for the night, we opened our sacks and we found silver. So we have brought it back with us. We have also bought additional silver with us to buy food. We don't know who put our silver in our sacks." He's like, "It's all right. Don't be afraid. Your God, the God of your father, has given you treasure in your sacks. I received your silver." Then he brought the other brother back. So boom, they go and they prepare gifts for Joseph because he's coming home. He's out to work. He came home. They presented him with the gifts. He asked how they were. He said, "How was your aged father you told me about? Is he still living?" He's asking about his own dad. Your servant, our father, your servant, our father, is still alive and well." And they bow down, prostrating themselves before him. Tell my full circle moment. He saw his brother Benjamin, his own mother's son. He said, "Is this your youngest brother, the one you told me about? God be gracious to you, my son." This is his full brother. Now look, half brothers, full brothers, with my family, it's all the same thing. It's no difference. But back then, this was a huge thing, especially in these days. Benjamin and Joseph, mama is Rachel and dad is Jacob. So they got the same mom and dad. And this dude right here, seen his brother, ain't seen him in a long time, deeply moved. He ran out of the room and looked for a place to cry. He went into his private room and wept there. No matter how bad things get, man, God forgive, bro, because your emotions will not we are not built. Us humans are not built to hold grudges. We're just not. That's why people suffer when they hold grudges. You're not supposed to suffer. Your body wants to forgive. Because holding a grudge is death, bro. It's Satan. Joseph was so moved, bro. He done cried twice already. He had to run out of the room. And this is the governor. So they're looking at him like, "Hey, bro, why you keep crying?" He washed his face, came out and said, "Serve the food." They went and ate, right? But the Egyptians could not eat with Hebrews. That's detestable. Moses will learn all about that here in the next book of Exodus. Don't worry, Moses will know all about that. But that's a little foreshadowing. Look, when portions were served to them, Benjamin's portion was 5 times as much as anyone else. I wonder why that is. It ain't like that's your brother or something, right? So basically, this is what he told his servant. Fill the men's sack with as much food as they can carry. Good job, Joseph. Put each man's silver in the mouth of his sack. Then put my cup, the silver one, in the mouth of the youngest one's sack. Why is that? This is what Joseph said. Go after those men at once, and when you catch up with them, say to them, why have you repaid good with evil? Isn't this cup my master's drinks? Isn't the cup my master drinks from and also uses for divination? This is a wicked thing you have done. So he's saying, let me keep reading because I get exactly what he's saying. I understand exactly what's going on. He caught up with them, the servant, and he said exactly what Joseph told him to say. But they said to him, why does my Lord say such thing? Far be it from your servants to do anything like that. We even brought back to you from the land of Canaan the silver we found inside the mouths of our sacks. So why would we steal silver or gold from your master's house? If any of your servants is found to have it, he will die, and the rest of us will become my Lord's slaves. Very well, the servant said. Let it be as you say. Whoever is found to have it will become my slave. The rest of you will be free from blame. Do you know what just happened? Let me explain it to you. Benjamin is the youngest out of all of them. And Joseph put the cup in his bag. And he said, the rest of y'all be free. Y'all just got to tell me who has the cup. Who's got it? Now, for free, without any kind of punishment, they sold Joseph into slavery. Get out of here, boy. Let me get these 20 shekels of silver. But now they got a choice to make, fellas, ladies and gentlemen. Are they going to sell out Benjamin like they did Joseph? And that's what Joseph is testing him to see. Are they going to do it? Are y'all going to sell him out? Right? Joseph was in the house when Judah and his brothers. Oh, Joseph, he got him now. Oh, he's finna nail these boys. He's finna get him now, Joseph. Let's go. They threw themselves on the ground before him. Joseph said to them, what is this you have done? Don't you know that a man like me can find things out by divination? That's nonsense. What can we say to my Lord? Judah replied. What can we say? How can we prove our innocence? God has uncovered your servant's guilt. We are now my Lord's slaves. We ourselves and the one who was found to have the cup. You gotta understand, they think that God is punishing them for what they did to their other brother years ago. You get what I'm saying? They think they're getting punished for what they did to Joseph. That's what they're doing, right? That's what they think. But Joseph said, far be it from me to do such a thing. Only the man who was found to have the cup will become my slave. The rest of you go back to your father in peace. Hey, y'all got a decision to make. Look, man, you know what? Y'all can go on. Just whoever has that cup, you tell me who he is right now. Y'all, you move him over to me. You push him to me. You blame him. Throw all the blame on him. I'll take him. Y'all can go back home free. Then Judah went up and said, listen to what Judah said. Pardon your servant, my Lord. Let me speak a word to my Lord. Do not be angry. By the way, when he says my Lord, that's what, kings and queens, like the hierarchy of the kingdom, the Lord, the governor, that's what he means. He's not talking about Jesus, God, right? Or God, not Jesus then, but God, right? Pardon your servant, my Lord. Let me speak a word to my Lord. Do not be angry with your servant. Though you are equal to Pharaoh himself, my Lord asked his servants, do you have a father or a brother? We answered, we have an aged father. There's a young son born to him in his old age. His brother is dead. He is the only one of his mother's sons left, and his father loves him. His brother is dead. He is the only one of his mother's sons left. That's all of Rachel's kids. We sold the other one. We sold him into slavery. We know that in our hearts, and God knows that. He's seen it. But really, hey, for real though, our father thinks he's dead. He's seen his jacket, his robe with the blood on it. So he ain't got no more other kids with Rachel besides this one. His father loves him. Then you said to your servants, bring him down so I can see him for myself. And we said to my Lord, the boy cannot leave his father. If he leaves him, his father will die. Right? And that's what's going on, man. He's basically saying, we did all of this for you. Right? And our father loves him. So now if the boy is not with us, when I go back to your servant, my father, and if my father, whose life is closely bound up with the boy's life, sees that the boy isn't there, he will die. Your servants will bring the gray head of our father down to the grave in sorrow. He guaranteed the safety to my father. I said, if I do not bring him back to you, I will hear the blame before you, my father, on my life. Please let your servant remain here as my Lord's slave in place of the boy, and let the boy return with his brothers. Judah! This is the one that said, we're not gonna kill him. Of course not. How are we gonna make money like that? Nah, we'll sell him into slavery. This is his words. Let your servant, let me remain here as the slave in place of the boy, and let that boy return with his brothers. How can I go back to my father if the boy is not with me? No, do not let me see the misery that will come to my father. He has changed his ways, folks. And that's another thing that we've got to look at. Judah is the one that said, this is my flesh and blood. How are we going to make money off of killing him? Nah, let's sell my brother into slavery. But Judah has changed his ways. He's now giving his life for his brother. Now, people can change. It doesn't matter what they've done. Anybody can change. Anybody can be saved. I don't care how much somebody doesn't like it. Oh, well, Christianity says people... Yes, people can change. People can change. So, he's saying, hey, look, I'll give my life for you, for my little brother now, to make up. Hey, Joseph heard this. This is what it say. Joseph could no longer control himself before all his attendants. He cried out, everybody leave. Have everyone leave my presence. There was no one with Joseph when he made himself known to his brothers. And he wept so loudly that the Egyptians heard him. And Pharaoh's household heard about it. Our soul wants to forgive, man. It wants to forgive. It cries out for it. He just heard his brother, bro. All these things, by the way, is him. He heard him say, oh, we're not going to sell you. We're not going to kill you, bro. We'll sell you into slavery so we can make some money. We can't make no money if you're dead. He heard him say that. And then years later, he hear him say, I can't come back to my father without my little brother here. So take me instead. That's what he's saying. He cried. It says he cried out. Then he revealed himself. I am Joseph. Is my father still living? They couldn't understand. They like, what? They were terrified at his presence. They seen a ghost. Hold on a minute. We've been talking to this guy right here. Come close to me. When they had done so, he said, I am your brother Joseph, the one you sold into Egypt. You know how they really know it's him? Because everybody thinks he was killed. Only the brothers know he was really sold. But the fact that another person besides the brothers know that he was sold, that lets them know that this is Joseph right here. And listen, this right here is very powerful. This, what he's about to say, is very powerful. Joseph, sold into slavery by his own brothers, almost killed, beaten up, thrown into a well, sold into slavery by his own brothers. This is what he's got to say about it. And now do not be distressed and do not be angry with yourselves for selling me here, because it was to save lives that God sent me ahead of you. For 2 years now there has been a famine in the land, and for the next 5 years there will be no plowing or reaping. But God sent me ahead of you to preserve for you a remnant on earth and to save your lives by a great deliverance. So then it was not you who sent me here, but God. He made me father to Pharaoh, lord of his entire household and ruler of all Egypt. Now hurry back to my father and say to him, this is what your son Joseph says. God has made me lord of all Egypt. Come down to me. Don't delay. You shall live in the region of Goshen and be near me. You, your children and grandchildren, your flocks and herds, and all you have. I will provide for you there because 5 years of famine are still to come. Otherwise, you and your household, all who belong to you, will become destitute. I don't think y'all heard what he just said. What he just said is like, this is why people say the Bible is God breathed. Because somebody not in God cannot do that. The first time he seen his brothers and recognized them, he would have put them to death right there. I promise he would have. If you're not in God, if you're not with the Lord, and this happens to you, you go through all this misery and you think you deserve justice, you want to give out revenge, and you see your perpetrators, you'll kill them right there. But Joseph couldn't even blame them for what he did. He said, God sent me. You didn't send me into slavery, brothers. It was all God's plan, which is the whole thing. So it's like they heard that, right? He hugged them, wept, embraced them. They all crying, kissed his brothers, and everybody heard it. And Pharaoh was like, hey, man, tell your brothers, bring everybody, bring the whole family. And listen, you are directed. This is a direct order from me, Pharaoh. Take some carts from Egypt for your children and your wives and get your father to come. Never mind about your belongings, because the best of all Egypt will be yours. Look at God, bro. Like, look at him. Look what he's doing. Look what he did. Bro, you would have been dead, right? And then look what Jacob. They told Jacob everything, right? The spirit of their father Jacob revived. My son is alive. I'm convinced my son Joseph is still alive. I will go and see him before I die. God bless you, Joseph. That's why I love Joseph, bro. Like I said, there's other things in there that I'm gonna make a whole episode with Joseph. And yes, I will go back over this again. It's 48 minutes. You gotta listen to all of this. But this right here is like, this is it right here, folks. There's nothing else but this right here. He forgave his brothers, forgiveness, and it blessed his entire family. And his daddy name is Israel. So really, him forgiving his brothers blessed an entire nation of people. And it made way for Moses. This story just like the Israelite, first of all the Israelites coming to Egypt and having time there, and then later on a new Pharaoh came, and it's a lot. But I digress. If Joseph can forgive his brothers for selling them into slavery and saying that it was really God who did it for him, you definitely can forgive somebody that did you wrong. I promise, because it's not as worse as that. I promise. So, Mr. Melton. Let's go to Matthew. I got a little bit more. Stay with me now. Let's see here. Let's go to Matthew. Matthew 6. I'm sorry, not Matthew 6. Let's see, where am I at? Am I in Matthew or John? I'm in Matthew. Good. Matthew 18. The parable of the unmerciful servant. Now we're in the New Testament now. This is Jesus. Now we're big time. We're talking about the Son of God, the Son of Man. I didn't put enough emphasis on last week's episode or Wednesday's episode, but this is Jesus, the Son of God. This is God in human form. Jesus Christ. The one that we now can say we can only go through the Father through him. And we were blessed to hear his words. His words is in red. Then Peter came to Jesus and said, Lord, how many times shall I forgive my brother or sister who sins against me? Up to 7 times? I'll forgive him 7 times. I know I'm doing my thing, right? Then Jesus answered, I tell you not 7 times, but 77 times. Therefore, the kingdom of heaven is like a king who wanted to settle accounts with his servants. As he began the settlement, a man who owed him 10,000 bags of gold was brought to him. This guy owes him 10,000 bags of gold. Since he was not able to pay, the master ordered that he and his wife and his children and all that he had to be sold to repay the debt. He wasn't able to pay. At this, the servant fell on his knees before him. Be patient with me, he begged, and I will pay back everything. The servant's master took pity on him, canceled the debt, and let him go. But when that very servant went out, he found one of his fellow servants who owed him 100 silver coins. He grabbed him and began to choke him. Pay back what you owe me, he demanded. His fellow servant fell to his knees and begged him, be patient with me and I will pay it back. But he refused. Instead, he went off and had the man thrown into prison until he could pay the debt. When the other servants saw what had happened, they were outraged and went and told their master everything that had happened. Then the master called the servant in. You wicked servant, I canceled all the debt of yours because you begged me to. Shouldn't you have had mercy on your fellow servant just as I had on you? In anger, his master handed him over to the jailers to be tortured until he should pay back all that he owed. This is how my heavenly Father will treat each of you unless you forgive your brother or sister from your heart. Did you hear that? Because I heard it. And it hit me right here like it should hit everybody. This is what happened. My bro owed 10,000 coins. No, I'm sorry, 10,000 bags of gold. 20 years of a day of a laborer's wage. That's how much he owed. He begged him. He's finna have his wife and children be sold to repay the debt. He begged him, please don't. So he forgave him. Then he seen another dude. He seen that guy who got forgiven seen another cat. And he said to him, pay back what you owe me, because he owed him 100 silver coins. So 20 years wage is what he owed the master, but he couldn't pay it back. But a random dude owed him a day. Choked him. He said, I'll pay it back, man. Hold on. He fell to his knees. But nope. He had him thrown into prison. Other people seen it. Right? They were hot. And they told their master. And they threw that boy in prison and tortured him. And he said, Jesus said, this is what will happen if you don't forgive. You got to forgive, bro. Because the Father forgave you for your sins. And we be sinning. Everybody sins. But because the Father forgave you, you have to forgive other people. Thanks for your time today, folks. I appreciate it. I'm going to make a part 2 to this for sure. This right here is very, very necessary for people in general, but especially if you call yourself a follower of Christ, forgiving others. When I make a part 2, this next one will be forgiving yourself, because we've got to forgive ourselves because sometimes we don't But again, Joseph said, hey, look, you guys didn't do it to me. And they know they did it. But you guys didn't do it to me. God sent me. Because he had another plan for me. You know what I mean? So he forgave them for that. And the servant, it's like, hey man, look, you was just forgiven for everything that you owed. Now you gotta do some forgiving. Oh, nah, you owe me. Throw him in jail. Throw that boy in jail. Alright? This is the punishment, boy. You didn't want to forgive somebody after you was forgiven? Say less. And that's what happened to him. So we gotta forgive. The human heart does not want to hold grudges. When you are hurt, when something hurts you, when you are hurt by something, it's not made for you. If you drink something knowing it will hurt you, you're not going to drink it. Pain is not a natural thing for the body, right? When you cut yourself and you're hurting, that's another thing. You're not supposed to do that, but your body will regenerate from it, whatever. When I'm saying that to say a grudge hurts, and we've got to get rid of grudges. The reason that Joseph cried so much, so many times, is because his body would not let him go through that. His body wouldn't let him do it. Because he was with God, right? But if it was a regular person who wasn't, anybody else is the governor and they went through that, as soon as he would have seen his brothers, he would have killed them. Then he would have went back home and killed his You know what? He might not have even waited till they got there. He may have held that grudge, because sometimes people call grudge motivation. He may have held that grudge and waited till he got into power, and then said, all right, let me bring all the soldiers, and we're going to Canaan, and we're killing all of them. Because that's how much rage he would have had. But I was curious. I said, why in the world did Joseph do all that, right? Before I did some research, this is what it say. He framed Benjamin for theft to test to see if they had repented for their past jealousies. Like I said earlier, and I seen it too. This is their other younger brother. They already messed up the other one. So let's see how they treat them, right? And he did them well. Protected Benjamin. He wanted to get a confession of their past sins to see if they would save one another instead of just themselves. Judah offered himself as a substitute for Benjamin in slavery. He seen that there was an issue, man. He had repented for his sins. He was faced with a situation, and it made him much, much better in the end. So, please, make peace. If somebody's done something bad to you, forgive them, please. Please forgive them. Forgive them. Because the body is not made to hold grudges. We're supposed to love each other. That's God's greatest command, right? Is loving each other and obeying the word. I will see y'all Wednesday.